Vedika Bahl is here in studio. Vedika, the White House has been standing by Donald Trump's global tariff package. Analysts, though, and economists, they've been criticising some of the claims he made during that speech yesterday. Take us through it.
Yeah, Sharon, Trump has previously said that tariff is his favourite word in the dictionary, but his sweeping global tariff package also has several sweeping inconsistencies. Now, I want to start with the false claim that Trump has been making since even before he started his second term, and that is that it is the country charged that pays the tariff and not the United States. He also said that due to his tariffs on China in his first term as president, the US racked up hundreds of billions of dollars that China paid. Now, economists have been continuously insisting that this is just not how tariffs work. The cost of the tariff is paid by the American buyer as the foreign goods then become more expensive, and that is reflected in the price. And study after study has shown that it is, in fact, Americans who bore the majority of that brunt of Trump's first-term tariffs on China. Now, he also claimed in his tariff announcement that China never paid 10 cents to any other president. Again, this is universally false. Tariffs have been collected on Chinese goods since 1789, some of the earliest days of the United States, and the US has generated billions annually from tariffs on Chinese imports before Trump. Again, the cost of those paid by the importer. Now, another claim that he made in his tariff announcement was that it's in fact other countries that have relegated the US to economic suffering. And he said that the US was, I quote, proportionately wealthier between 1789 and 1913 when tariffs made up more of federal revenue. Now, he didn't specify, Sharon, what proportionately wealthier means, but not only does the United States have the highest GDP worldwide, but its per capita GDP is also many, many times higher now than it was then during that period.
And Vedika, we saw Trump with his tariff table last night as he was making that announcement. There's been a lot of speculation, though, about how exactly the White House calculated the figures in that table.
That's right. Trump's tariff table was to show the reciprocal tariffs for what he called the so-called worst offenders. This blue and white table here is the tariffs that he alleges these countries charge on the United States. And this yellow list here is the kind of discount in reciprocal tariffs that he said he is now rolling out. But analysts are struggling to calculate exactly how this methodology and these high rates came about. So if we take a look at the EU, for example, Trump has said that he is slapping 20% on the European Union, which is around half of the 39% that he claims the EU imposes on Washington. However, the available data that we have disagrees with this. The European Commission estimates that the average tariff rate is approximately 1%. Now, the World Trade Organization has a slightly higher figure. It's just under 5%. But regardless of 5% or 1%, it is far from the 39% quote made by the White House. Now, there is one American journalist who took to social media and ran some numbers to try and figure out how that methodology came about. And he argued, James Sorofsky, that the White House didn't actually calculate tariff rates and non-tariff barriers. Instead, they took the trade deficit between the US and that country and divided it by the country's exports to the United States. And in fact, Sharon, it turned out that he was correct. The White House published their mathematical formula online. And if we take a look at this BBC graphic, which has simplified that maths for us with those figures between the EU and the United States, we can see that the formula checks out. That is how the White House calculated it. The numbers that we have here at the end, using that idea by that journalist there, they do check out as the numbers that Trump had in his table of the tariffs that he is imposing. Now, economists have slammed this across the board. They argue, firstly, that this is not reciprocal. They also say that the methodology is far too flawed and oversimplified, and the numbers have far too many anomalies. anomalies. In terms of anomalies, let's talk about a few of those. For example, the UK and Australia both actually have a trade surplus with the United States, not a trade deficit, but both of those countries are still being charged a reciprocal tariff rate of 10%. There's also some anomalies in terms of islands here. These islands, the Heard and McDonald's Islands, are being charged a 10% reciprocal tariff rate, even though these islands are mainly inhabited by penguins. Even here on Jan Mayen Island as well, again, 10% tariff, but there are few, if any, permanent inhabitants there. I also want to talk quickly about Réunion Island, which is a French territory. It's considered part of France, which is paying a whopping 37% in a reciprocal tariff, even though other French territories like Martinique and Guadeloupe are only being charged 10%. And France, the metropolitan France, mainland France, is paying 20% under that umbrella of the EU 20% tariff. So there is a lot of anomalies there, but generally, overall, Sharon, what I will end with is that the general economic consensus here is that this methodology and the calculation is deeply economically flawed, and we'll have to wait and see how things turn out from here on out.
Vedika, thanks so much.